The Yankees are 6-0 in his starts. He has a 0.99 ERA in his last 4 starts.
I mean, it's incredible.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller are required. With me, as usual, my co-host Brian McKeon. Brian.
Stacey, I think a little too much screen time for me today. I have a bad headache coming into the show, but a lot of sports to watch on Sunday.
All right, before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to Locked On Yankees on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like our videos, hit the bell so you're notified whenever our videos go live. On today's show, we're previewing the series in Baltimore. The Yankees will be facing the poor Baltimore Orioles. We'll tell you all about their struggles because, they are not doing well.
No.
We're also going to talk about more struggles. Devin Williams, demoted, no longer the closer. We saw that on Sunday. We'll talk about everything having to do with that. But first, let's talk about Sunday because the Yankees swept a doubleheader, which makes Friday even more annoying. And they should have swept the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are not playing well.
No, they're not playing well. Just side note before we really dive into the game, how often do you see a straight sweep of a doubleheader? It's rare.
It is rare. The first 2 games I ever attended were a sweep, a doubleheader sweep in 1983, which was pretty cool. And it was a single admission where it was only like a half hour between the games, and then
those are so much better.
Against the Blue Jays. It was against the Blue Jays.
The split's annoying, but they did kill you with the single admission for this weekend as well. Yeah, Blue Jays are not playing well. I'd agree with you. I did mention on our YouTube short that we post for this episode, Stacey, the Yankees, weirdly enough, did everything imaginable in the best way possible this weekend. Like, is there a flaw from this weekend other than Devin Williams? And we'll break that down. But
yeah, pretty much he was really the only flaw.
They pitched fantastic. They got unbelievable starts from every single starter they had pitched. Carrasco was great on Friday night. Fried was great on Sunday. Schmidt was great on Sunday. Their bullpen was excellent. They got run production from the home run and from actually hitting productively. Judge got back on the power track. I can't come up with a complaint. They were that good. Good at bats. Everybody hit. Volpe got back on track. Dominguez got back on track. I mean,
Wells got back on track.
Yeah, there's not a lot of complaining to really do, and that's a hard thing to find. And when it comes to the Yankees, the bullpen was excellent. Friday night's loss, while annoying, yes, you're going to lose games like that. And we'll discuss the Devin Williams stuff in the next segment. But overall, not a lot of complaints to really have about the weekend.
Yeah, no, Devin Williams was the only blemish, I guess you can say. Hitting wise, you saw the guys who were normally contributing. You saw the guys who have been having trouble lately contributing in a big way on Sunday because honestly, it's not that easy to do what they did off of Gausman in game 1.
Yeah.
In that
third
inning.
At all. Not at all.
That's a very really surprising result. And it wasn't just hits. They were walking. They were having productive at-bats. They were looking like they were doing really well on Sunday. It was like the day off did something to them. And maybe the way they lost on Friday and the day off combined, maybe some guys were looking at film on Saturday when they didn't have a game to play because some of these guys look totally different at the plate than they have in previous games.
Different approaches, a lot more patience I noticed too on Sundays games as opposed to really most of the season. Mm-hmm. I think that the rainy off day might have helped them too because you're sitting inside and maybe a lot of them did do that. They dove into some film and really started looking at their swings because I mean, Anthony Volpe, we gave him we really took him to the woodshed the other day, and he was unbelievable over the weekend. So, that definitely could be a possibility. I also want to mention, because this guy deserves a ton of credit, and we've given it to him for sure, but he still deserves as much of it as possible. Max Fried. If you watched game 1 of Sunday's game, and I know it was tough because it was up against the Knicks, but if you really focused and watched game 1, Stacey, he didn't have his stuff.
No.
Like, he was not, like, you look at his stat line. What did he have? Six innings, 6 hits. Was the one run he gave up even earned? I don't think it was. I think it went down as an unearned run. No, they did they did make it earned. They changed it. Regardless, though, if you watch that entire start, there was never a moment where he looked dominant.
Mm-hmm.
And that's crazy to say for a 1-run, 6-inning performance, because it's an excellent stat line.
He grinded it out
all over the place. He really, like, walking guys, putting guys on base. He threw 101 pitches, got through 6 innings, somehow got through that 6 innings. I mean, you're right. Grind is the best way. He, like, grinded, crawled, rock climbed, whatever you want to say, to get his way through this start. And the stat line, if you didn't watch the game, look at the stat line, you'd think, oh, Max Fried, another great start. I think these are the starts that starters really need to be mostly judged off of, because when you have your ace stuff and you go out there and you dominate, that's one thing for sure. But when you can not have your stuff at all and you still pitch this way, I mean, that's the marks of a really true great pitcher. His ERA now is down to 1.43. I mean, he's been I can't remember another pitcher that they've signed as a free agent that has started his Yankee tenure off this good.
Actually, it went up to 1.3 because it was 1.2,
1.42
going into this, and it went up to 1.43 in this game. But the Yankees are 6-0 in his starts. He has a 0.99 ERA in his last 4 starts.
I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah.
And his stuff's not overpowering either. That's the crazy thing. Like, he doesn't have what Rodon and Cole have, where when they need a strikeout, they could just dial back and throw one past you. He doesn't have that. He's an incredible pitcher. I enjoy watching every one of his starts.
Yeah. Back to the offense just for a second. In game 1, Dominguez and Rice were the only 2 guys that didn't get hits, but Dominguez walked twice and he scored once, and Rice walked once and scored once. So they contributed to the scoring and the offense when they couldn't get a hit. Judge was 2 for 4. At that point, he had a 23-game on-base streak and he was homerless. But then game 2 happened.
Yeah, game 2 happened, and the home run was a very typical Aaron Judge strength home run, goes the other way. But what's more important about that home run is when it happened in the game. It was 1-1. Schmidt was pitching well, but again, we kind of knew, we told you this earlier, that they weren't going to push it too much pitch count-wise. And what's weird is they went over what me and you even thought. They went to 90 pitches with him, which that was over what me and you thought really expected. And he grinded too. He pitched really well, though. He really ran through their order. The Judge home run was significant, Stacey, because it comes in the 6th inning. You're getting into the bullpen. If you're a Blue Jays fan, you're probably confident with the way things went. Schmidt's dominating. We got rid of the starter. We're getting into their bullpen. We should be fine here. Bottom of the 6 starts.
You're keeping Judge in the ballpark because that's all they were talking. I follow some Blue Jays fans on Blue Sky, and they're just like, as long as they can keep Judge in the park, maybe something can happen.
And then bottom 6 happens. He goes the other way, pokes one over the wall, and that was really it. The Yankee pitching from that point on, the bullpen was outstanding from that point on. They were so good. It was Hill, Leiter, Cruz, Weaver, and that's not including Devin Williams, which is nuts. I mean, that they were all just dominant going through.
Yeah, Cruz is just. Yeah. Someone was saying, oh, I can't remember who it was, but someone had put on Blue Sky, I loved Trevino. I loved him defensively, but Cruz has been a revelation, so the trade was worth it just for Cruz because he's been so good. Speaking of catchers, JC Escara, first home run, 415 feet off Chad Green.
He got all of it. Chad Green giving something back to the Yankees for sure.
The thing that cracked me up about Judge's home run was they barely got back from the commercial. Like, they barely got back to the game starting, and he just hit the home run immediately as soon as Kay stopped talking. He was doing some sort of promo or something for whatever it was, and then Judge hit the home run. But let's talk about the other home run. Grisham gets the game started with a home run. He's been unbelievable this year. And going into that, Chris Bassett had gone 28 2/3 innings without giving up a home run. And then in 6 innings, he gave up 2 home runs to the Yankees.
Yeah, he's had a great start to the year, too. Yet another start where the Yankees tag a guy that's got into the season having great numbers, which was not expected. really unbelievable power numbers from the Yankees. And the 5-1 game, the second game on Sunday, was a different kind of game than the first one. Like they could have won the first one 11-10 or something. They were scoring at will pretty much. The second game, they really had to grind a little more. The runs didn't come till late, but again, Judge gets you going. And Stacey, listen to these ERAs real quick. Tim Hill, 2.63. Mark Leiter Jr., 2.92. Fernando Cruz, 1.80. Luke Weaver, 0. I mean, you can't ask for better. And economic, too. Tim Hill, 7 pitches. Mark Leiter Jr., 16 pitches. Fernando Cruz, 20 pitches. Luke Weaver, 11 pitches.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't do better than that. It's economical. None of them got into trouble. In the bullpen, only Tim Hill and Cruz give up a hit. That's how good they were.
And then Hill erased it with the DP. So
yeah.
It's like it didn't even matter. So the good thing about that is they have 3 games against Baltimore, which we're going to preview in segment 3 right away. So the fact that they didn't pitch that much, it means they're not going to be
a little more fresh.
Their usage is not so much leading into the game against Baltimore. There was one other note that I wanted to make sure that we spoke about. Oh, the Yankees rotation. This is from James Smythe of the S Network, the research guru. The Yankees rotation has righted the ship over the last 13 starts. They had a 5.40 ERA over the first 15 games. In the last 13 starts, they're 9-4. Their ERA is 2.62. Their batting average against is 1.93, and their home run per 9 is 0.66. They've pitched 5 or more innings in 10 out of those 13 games started, and 3 runs or fewer they've given up in 11 of those 13 games started.
Hard to find a complaint. Really hard.
Yep. The only complaint is that it wasn't a sweep, and we'll talk about that in a bit. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notification so you know when our videos go up. You can also join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. The link is in the description. You'll get text from us. You can text us questions, comments, reactions to trades and signings. The reaction to Friday night was amazing. We send out lineups during the season, roster moves, and breaking news, so you don't have to check social media. There's a 14-day free trial. All right, coming up next. Devin Williams was taken out of the closer role thanks to Friday night's debacle. We'll talk about it all.
The NBA playoffs are here. The teams in the series are already getting big leads. The Knicks are up 3-1. Boston's up 3-0. It is unbelievably exciting. And FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action all postseason long. Hear this out, guys. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. And I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy for me, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into some player props, from 3-pointers to steals to assists. FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. How about some Karl Anthony Towns 3 bets? I mean, who would have thought? But he's hitting shots out there like Steph Curry. Along with him, Jalen Brunson. The Knicks have a chance to close out their series on Tuesday night. Boy, it's a great time of year for sports when you got to have the 2 TVs out 24/7, right? Hear this out, too. After the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same game parlay for your chance to win big on all these bets. So don't miss out. Head over to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. So, Stacey, we were going to get into this, and let's just tell our listeners, right? Proceed with caution when we get into these segments, because is there a player struggling? Yes. But Yankee fans tend to be a little harsh with guys that are struggling. It tends to be a common theme with Yankee fans.
A little?
While there may be reason to be upset, and there may be reason to, whatever, have your opinions, have you may, please, for the love of everything out there, look at a guy's previous history, especially if he's new to your team, on how he's done throughout his entire career before you judge whether he should be cut, traded, off the team, never pitch again. Relax. I agree. Devin Williams has struggled. Should he be out of the closer role? Yes. Has he had a good start to the year? Absolutely not. Should the Yankees get rid of him? Also no. Those things are not all true. I did see a lot of Luke Weaver needs to be the permanent closer. Get Devin Williams off this team. Ship him out of town.
Well, they were even chanting. They were chanting, "We want Weaver." while Devin Williams was on the mound, which is another thing you really shouldn't do.
These guys, now we do bring up all the time how it does feel like the Yankees kind of handle their players sometimes with kid gloves, and they're a little too careful with these guys. They are professional athletes. They are grown men. They can handle their own business. However, they also are human. They also do have egos. They also do have, feelings. They are people out there. And I know there's a lot of grown men who listen to this show, and there's a lot of grown women who listen to this show, and we've all heard things before from our friends, colleagues, family, whatever, that have hurt us inside. Don't act like you haven't. Yankee fans that are telling Devin that are, in his DMs telling him to, do horrible things to himself and horrible things. Enough. He struggled to start the year. It hasn't really hurt the Yankees that much. They lost this game on Friday night. Okay. He's out of the closer role. He's figuring things out. Booing him, chanting him off the team, saying you want Weaver. This is the best closer in baseball, Devin Williams. I want everyone to understand that. His ERA might not reflect that right now. Over the last 5 years, Stacey, his ERA has been in the ones. All right? His stuff is filthy. He's struggling right now. I don't have any faith that he can't handle the Bronx. The guy's gotten off to a bad start to start the year, okay? Mark Teixeira got off to a bad start to start the year every single year, and you never killed him like this. Let's just slow it down with it's the right move to take him out of the rotation as of now. It is. Give him some rest, let him reflect, but to be saying the things that have been said out there publicly about Devin Williams, I think that needs to be slowed down a little bit too.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I just find it interesting because this did need to happen. Like, something is clearly not right with Devin Williams right now, and you can't afford to keep losing games because your closer can't close. But I find it interesting that it took 13 blown saves from Clay Holmes for him to get taken out of the closer role in 2024 and have Luke Weaver take over for him. And Devin Williams blows a few, and a couple of within the last 2 weeks that were big because the Tampa one was bad.
Yep.
Friday night was bad. Friday night wasn't as bad as Tampa because they only had a 1-run lead at that point. Tampa was bad. Like, that was a 4-run lead. That was almost like, that's, as a closer, that's pretty much inexcusable. You don't do that. Yeah. That's really not good. But I find it interesting because I was seeing comments from people and things that were written about Williams, about how uncomfortable he looks in post-game scrums, even after he pitches well. And people are taking that to mean that he's not comfortable with playing in New York. I think a month is too soon to
way too soon
judge that. And I think that he just needs some time to get adjusted. His teammates are being really supportive. Jazz Chisholm was amazing after the game on Friday, hyping him up and being like, I know who this guy is. I know what he can do. I think he's going to be fine. And he tried to tell him that during the game. It didn't really help, but like, his teammates are being supportive because, you need to be supportive when one of your guys is not having the time that he needs to have. But I find it interesting that this soon the Yankees were like, yeah, we're taking him out of the closer role, which I give them credit for, because instead of waiting way too long, Boone was like, yeah, we're taking him out. He's going to figure things out.
So I want to circle back to a point that you made, though, because we were texting about it earlier in the day, and this does bother me. Shockingly, another Boone thing bothers me, but hear me out. I agree with you wholeheartedly. They never really, for the most part, took Clay Holmes out of that closer role officially, because even when they made the announcement, which I think came in August of 2024, if I'm not mistaken, once they made the announcement where they were having a closer by committee kind of thing, they still went with Holmes and Weaver until Weaver officially took the job over. They still went with both guys. They still flip-flop back and forth. They never officially took the job away from Clay Holmes, if I can say that. If Clay Holmes continued to pitch really well into August and September, he would have kept the closer role. He just pitched his way out of it, and Weaver was so good that he wound up winning that job.
Yeah.
Where does the love fest come from for one guy but not the other? And I know Devin Williams isn't this homegrown Yankee, but neither was Clay Holmes. They traded for Clay Holmes. It's the same scenario. It just makes not a lot of sense to me at all. And again, I agree with you. The move was the correct move to get Williams out of there. Like, even if it's for a few weeks just to let him kind of regather his thoughts and figure things out. Maybe his mechanics are off. Who knows? So I don't think the move is poorly. And you're right. We always say all the time, these games still count for September's. When they're a game and a half up in September, these losses in April are going to come back to sting because that lead could be a 2.5 or a 3-game lead at that point. So it does matter. But maybe he's just figuring things out. Also, can I also mention, if it doesn't work out for Devin Williams as a closer and Weaver's numbers are terrific going forward, they could easily make Devin Williams an 8th-inning guy and go forward with that too. That's still an electric outing. I mean, Luke Weaver was pitching for them in the World Series last year. So Luke Weaver can handle things. There's a lot of confidence that he can handle New York as well. And let's not forget, Devin Williams for years was pitching in the 8th inning in front of Josh Hader. So the Milwaukee's bullpen was electric at 1.2, and Devin Williams didn't have a problem coming out of the 8th inning. I agree with you. I don't think it makes any sense at all to be going out publicly and ripping the job out of Devin Williams' hands when for Clay Holmes, he just got all the opportunities imaginable to keep losing them games. That made no sense to me at all. But I also didn't love the quote from Boone. I don't know if you want to read it or not before we hit the break, but I don't love the quote from Boone on the Williams stuff too.
Which one? Because there are a couple of them written there.
The first one is the one that I don't like. And it's really the first half of the quote that really bothers me. He still has everything to be great. Every time that we have a Yankee player that struggles in a start, in anything imaginable, what is Boone famous for, right? Oh, his stuff was amazing. His stuff was great. He looked just a few mislocations, but he was unbelievable. Instead, for Williams, he still has everything to be great. How about just say he's been great, he's just missing some spots or he's working on mechanics. Make something up to give the player confidence. It just feels like a picking and choosing thing that we're not talking highly about Williams, but for other guys, we're going to every length and mile to defend them, like Marcus Stroman. Boone goes every length and mile to defend Marcus Stroman over things, but then for some reason with Devin Williams, he's kind of bluntly being like, no, he's been terrible. Weird to me.
Yeah. He also said, the good news for Devin is he has everything to get through this and come out better from the other side. That's my expectation. That's a word. Okay. Right now, it's best for everyone to pull him out of that role and try to start building some good rhythm, confidence, and momentum. I fully expect him to be a central figure for us moving forward.
It's a sign of confidence for sure, but I don't love the way these quotes come off. I just don't.
Yeah. And he also said about Williams, he has all the equipment to do this at an elite level.
Not sure what that means. The right pair of pants fit? Is he wearing Bombas socks instead of Nikes? I don't know. Very strange.
I mean, again, like you said, if it turns out that he becomes the 8th inning guy and pitches as well as he did as the 8th inning guy. Yeah, because that's what he was originally.
Yeah, and you're proven, and again, you've been proven that Luke Weaver can pitch in the postseason, big moments, get big saves. We know all this to be true. He proved it to you last year when they went to the World Series. So, no, I have no fear in any of this, honestly. Like I'm not worried at all. He's one of the elite arms in baseball, and it's April. I have a lot of confidence. If these numbers are the same in July, we'll revisit, and it'll become a bigger topic. Right now, I'm not overly concerned.
Yeah, I don't expect him to have an 11 ERA in July.
We'll
come back to that in July and see how it works out. All right, coming up, previewing the series against the Orioles. The Yankees are finally playing the Orioles. They're making their way slowly through the AL East, so the Orioles are up next.
There's nothing better than catching a Major League Baseball game live. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, and the smell of ballpark food. And if you're looking to go last minute, Gametime makes getting tickets easier than ever. With last-minute deals, all-in pricing, and lowest price guarantee, Gametime takes the stress out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. Plus, ticket prices drop as the game time gets closer, meaning you can score an incredible deal. Gametime is the official ticketing partner of Locked On and the Yankees, and we will be back at home this coming weekend, so I can count on them to grab tickets and that meet my needs whenever I want to go. The Gametime Picks feature also makes finding the best deals effortless. It filters out the fluff, and it highlights the top discounts available in the stadiums. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app today, create an account, and use code one word LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. And not only do we cover your team every day, but now we're giving you instant episodes after every single game. You can check out the Locked On Yankees postcast. It's hosted by Jay Berman right here, available on the Locked On Yankees podcast feed. Get rapid reaction to all the biggest moments with the Locked On Yankees postcast. So, Stacey, you get a good old 3-game series as the Yankees will take on Baltimore, like you said, finally getting their way through the American League East, finally getting their opponents. And if you've been following baseball or not, I don't know if you've realized how bad Baltimore has been to start the year off. One of the more underwhelming stories. We certainly highlighted it coming into the season with how disappointing their offseason went. But their season so far, Stacey, they don't score a lot of runs, and they certainly don't pitch.
They do not. When I put the rundown together, they did not have the starters listed for Baltimore. And of course, as we're recording, the starters for Baltimore have been filled in. So in game 1, it's Will Warren against Tomoyuki Sugano.
Good job on the pronunciation there. That's impressive. Not gonna lie.
I think that's how you say it.
Oh, okay. We don't know if it's right or not. So
I mean, I'm assuming because that's how it's spelled, Tomoyuki Sugano. He's 2-1 with a 3.54 ERA. He's thrown 28 innings, only has 9 strikeouts. I'm not sure what kind of a pitcher Sugano is for the Orioles, but his ERA is a lot better than some of the other guys on that team.
Probably a guy, I would say this though, probably a guy the Yankees, their Orioles ace as of now because their ERAs are so bad. Probably a guy the Yankees fare pretty well against, I'm not going to lie. Just because the Yankees tend to struggle against guys with very high strikeout numbers, guys that are able to strike out a lot because the Yankees have a lot of strikeouts tendency guys out there, and Sugano strikes out nobody. I mean, again, 28 innings, 9 strikeouts. That is, for today's level of baseball too, Stacey, nobody strikes out that infrequent amount of batters. So, probably a guy the Yankees will be able to have some success against. He's going to get Will Warren, who's 1-0 with a 4.79. And just to compare the strikeout numbers, Will Warren, 20.2 innings pitched this year, 21 strikeouts, which is about, 8K per 9. But 9 over 27 is like very, very bad. So it'll be interesting. Also, Sugano has given up 6 home runs this year too, which is also a lot.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah. That'll be interesting.
The Yankees fare well against a pitcher like this.
Yeah, Aaron Judge likes hitting home runs in Baltimore. Too bad Glaber isn't with us anymore because he liked hitting home runs.
I would hammer a Glaber home run bet if he was still on the Yankees.
Yeah. In game 2, it's Carlos Rodon against TBD. They still haven't listed a starter for that game, but they did list one for the finale. Rodon is 3-3. He lowered his ERA to 3.50. He is looking really good in his last few starts. Hopefully he can keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, all 3 of these starts will be 6:35 starts. Interesting how they've gone. Seems like they've gone away from the 6 o'clock start so far, and then now they're going back to it for all 3 of these games. The Wednesday game will be a prime video game.
Well, that's because it's Baltimore, so Baltimore decided it's 6:35.
Yeah, they get to do the earlier start. I like that. I'm all for it. I'm a big fan.
It makes us do our show earlier after the games.
Huge fan of that of it. But we'll see. I mean, Baltimore certainly has the talent level to be one of the best teams in baseball. But you're seeing it right in front of our eyes, Stacey. You have to double down on your talent when these guys are young and getting paid no money. And we said it all off season, and they decided to still spend no money. And you're seeing it reap now because if Baltimore went out and signed some veteran players, they could potentially be getting carried by those guys right now while their youth tends to struggle. You see a lot of young players, and this happens across all of sports, right? Young guys get called up in their rookie year, their second year. They start hitting really well, playing really well, putting up good numbers. And then the book on those guys comes out. Then the book on Adley Rutschman comes out. The young players of how do you get this guy out? And it's on the young player to make adjustments. And that tends to happen a little less infrequently when your career first starts. This is exactly what's happened on Baltimore. The Jackson Holidays of the world, the Adley Rutschmans of the world. The book is out on how to stop these guys and how to slow them down a little bit. And if the Orioles went out there and signed some veterans, they'd be able to pick up the slack right now while the Orioles' young hitters aren't hitting right now. Well, when you don't sign the veterans and the young hitters don't hit, you start the year with a 10-17 record. And that's how you get to where you are. With a very competitive division, Stacey, I'm not saying they're out of it because they're not, but
no,
that's a hard hill to climb back from if you dig yourself a deeper hole. With the division being as competitive as it is, that's a tougher hill. You don't want to get too far back if you're Baltimore.
Yeah, it's not just that they're 10-17. They're now in last place because them and Tampa had been flip-flopping, and now Tampa's won a bunch of games since the Yankees beat them 3 out of 4, and Baltimore is kind of being left behind a little bit there. So, it'll be interesting to see how the Yankees do against them. I'm assuming they'll treat them the same way they treated Toronto, because Toronto is a step above what Baltimore is right now, and the Yankees, other than Devin Williams' blow-up, looked great against Toronto. In Game 3, Cookie Carrasco, who pitched really well on Friday night. When I predicted the 2 out of 3 and predicted the loss for Friday, I figured it would be Carrasco who was the issue. I didn't expect Devin Williams to be the issue. So my prediction was 95% right. So Carlos Carrasco, 2-1 with a 5.26 ERA against Cade Povich, who is 1-2 with a 5.04 ERA.
Orioles 3-7 in their last 10. They're on a 3-game losing streak currently. Here's the really bad part, Stacey. They've scored 108 runs this year compared to the Yankees' 155 that they've scored. But also, Baltimore has given up 147 runs. Their run differential is minus 39.
Wow.
That is a really, and those are generally, when you get later on into a season, that's really how you break down a team of how good they really are, is look at how do they score compared to how do they give up the runs. And the Yankees, say what you want about them, they have the second best record in the American League currently as it stands. Their run differential is plus 42. Baltimore's is minus 39. It's almost an exact flip. That is a really bad sign if you're Baltimore.
Didn't mean to end the show on that kind of a bum note, but it's bum note for the Orioles, not for the Yankees. So
exactly.
We'll see. So thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long, get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB, on YouTube, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. So that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you guys tomorrow.